Everybody, welcome back to another fun and exciting Algebra 1 class. Today we're going to be in chapter number 10, lesson number 3. We're going to be talking about stem and leaf plots, and maybe you've never even heard of that before, but it's not too bad, and it's just another way to graph information. This is on page 353. If you're looking in your books, page 353. Stem and leaf. Well, what does that mean? Well, what does it sound like it means? Well, it's like the stem of a plant. Okay, so that's the main part of the plant. And then there's the leaf. There's a little part coming off of the stem. And really, that's where it got its name. It's kind of what it looks like in a way. And that's the idea behind it is the main part and then the little branches off of it, the little leaves off of it. Before we get into that, let's look at two different words here that you really need to know. This is super important stuff, especially as you go off to like college and you're doing reports and you're doing different things. And as I've been working on my upper level degrees, my graduate degrees, I've gotten into this a lot more in depth. Qualitative and quantitative. What is the difference? What are they? What do they look like? Why do we have two different things here? Well, it's two different types of information. Qualitative, it sounds like quality. And it's exactly what it is. It talks about the qualities of something. Qualitative, non-number information, like colors and types of things, the area maybe that it is, what state is it from, what city, things like that. These are typically categories for your bar graph. So what do I mean by that? On the Shakespeare plays, the categories were tragedies and comedies and romance. Those are types of plays, okay? So just like I wrote down there, colors, types, kinds of things. So those categories there were qualitative, okay? It told you about the plays. The second type of information that we're going to be dealing with in statistics is called quantitative, and that sounds like quantity. And it's exactly what it is. We're talking about quantities, how much of something. This is number information, things that can be measured, things like size, weight, height, calories. All things that you can measure are quantitative. All right, so can we measure the number of plays that Shakespeare did? Yeah, we could measure that. So that's quantity. But the types of plays are quality. So one type of a bar graph, for instance, a bar graph could have both information. So if you look up at the top, I said these are typically categories for bar graph. But then in the second one, in the quantitative, I said that those are typically the length of the bars. So it's like a combination. A bar graph, has a combination of both of these, qualitative and quantitative. Both types of information are there recorded in them. Okay, so why did we talk about qualitative and quantitative here before stem and leaf? Well, it's interesting because with stem and leaf, pretty much a stem and leaf only focuses on quantitative, just the quantities. These are not fancy. There's no pretty colors. There's no labels. There's just it's just the stem and the leaf, and it's just numbers. Okay, so these ones focus just on quantitative information. All right. A stem and leaf plot shows how frequently values occur within a subset. They are quantitative only. Let's look at this example. Consider the following list of daily temperatures, these are in Fahrenheit degrees, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania during January of a recent year. They're listed chronologically. What does that mean? Starting with January 1st, January 2nd. So in other words, 53 was January 1st, 53 was January 2nd, 36 was January 3rd, and these are the highly day temperatures. So the highest temperature that it got in that day, in that 24-hour span, is recorded in this list. Now, if you're just looking at this list of information, it's like, whoa, that's a lot of stuff going on right now, and it's hard to see everything. It's hard to kind of put everything into perspective. So what does the stem and leaf do? Let's look down here. The stem is the class or major categories of numbers. So if you look at these, there's some major categories of numbers. There's some that are in the 20s, some that are in the 30s, some that are in the 40s, some that are in the 50s. Those are the major categories. It's like each grouping. You could group them in a number of different ways, but in this case, with the stem and leaf, you would want to group them by their major tens. Okay, maybe you have another set of information that would be grouped by tenths. Okay, maybe it's small information, maybe by hundredths or thousandths. Maybe it would be by millions. Maybe it's a big a big subset with big numbers. So you can group them in a number of different ways. But this information, this would be best grouped in tens. So 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. The leaf is the individual data point. So let's take, for example, this third one right here, 36. Okay, 36. The third one on the list occurred on the 3rd of January. Well, it's in the 30 subset. Okay, but it's specifically a 6. It's 30 and 6. And so that's what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be classifying each one into their main group, but then not losing sight of the individual aspect of it as well. So let's look at how to do this. We have here, and you can look in your book as well on page 353. I have a stem and leaf. Remember when I told you that they weren't fancy? There was nothing really to them. And really, you don't even necessarily have to write stem and leaf. I just wrote that so you could see which one is the stem and which one is the leaf. But that information is not even necessary on a stem and leaf. So, which one is the stem? Let's go back up here. The stem is the class or major category of numbers. So, what did we say? We said all of these are from the 20s, 30s, 40s, or 50s. I don't see any teens on here. Okay, the closest we got was like 21 degrees right there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go down here and we're going to write on here, we're going to write, okay, this is the 20 stem, this is the 30 stem, this is the 40 stem, and this is the 50 stem. Okay. And over here, we're going to fill in our information that is in that stem. Okay. There is a list of, I guess, steps on page 353. So first, each leading digit in the class, 2, 3, 4, 5, acts as the stem. That's where we are right now. Number 2, the second digit in each individual value gives a leaf on the graph. So in other words, we're just going to start filling in the leaves. And then the second value in the list is 53, indicating that another 53 would be recorded. We'll talk about that. Let me go back up to what it's saying right there. So this is step number 2. We want to take this information. So I want to take 53. Every time I take one, I'm going to cross it off so you can see it. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put 53. Okay, so I put the 3 over here. It goes with the 50s. Everything with the 50s I'm going to put right there. So now I'm going to come back up here, and the second one is also a 53. So I'm going to go back down here, and I'm going to put another 3 next to the 3. If there's another 3, I'll put another 3 and another 3 and another 3. I'll just keep adding 3s, as many 3s as go there. And you just keep adding things in, okay? So let's go ahead and just keep doing that. So this one's a 36, and so that will go up here with the 3 stem. This next one is a 39, so it will go also with the 3 stem. Go back up here, another 39, so it'll go with the 3 stem. Okay, and I think you get the idea. 34, 33, so I'm going to put a 4 and a 3. And then we have one with the 2 stem. I have a 28, so it'll go up here. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and I'm going to fill it in, and then I'll be back in just a second with it filled in. All right, so I've got my stem and my leaf all filled in now. So I'll go back here and I'll cross all these data points off, okay? Because I got to all of these data points and I entered them all into my stem and leaf, okay? Now what I want to do, I'm on step number 5 right now. Continuing through the entire list, plot each leaf next to its respective stem. Okay, so that's what I just finished up doing. So I put all of this information, all of the digits next to whatever 10 value they were in. Step number 6, the final step, is to rank them in their leaves from smallest to largest. So what I want to do now is I want to create. Now, I could do it right here, or I could make a new one. I'm actually going to just do it right here because I'm going to look at the book and I'm going to do it here at the same time. So what I want to do is I want to take all of this information right here and I want to put it in order. So I want to put 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, 8. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and erase that and do that real quick. So it's going to be 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, 8. Okay. Notice these ones down here are already done because there wasn't much information there. It was only in the 40s one day and it was 43 that day. It was only in the 50s 2 days and it was 53 both of those days. Now I'm going to have to take this big, long group of numbers, the 30s. It was in the 30s almost every day in January, right? Just a few days it wasn't. And I am going to put that one in order. So if you'll give me just a second, I will be right back. I'll do that and pause the video. All right, so I put all of those in order. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, there's a bunch of zeros. 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 9, 9, 9. Okay. Now, there's some observations that we can make now that we couldn't make before. When we were looking at this information before, let me get rid of all these now. When I was looking at this information before, I couldn't really tell some things about it. One of the things that I have a hard time seeing is that almost all of the numbers are in the 30s, right? A lot of the numbers are in the 30s. But when I look at that, it doesn't necessarily look like a lot of the numbers are in the 30s. But when I come down here, I see, oh, wow, it was 30-something degrees almost every day in January. There was very few days that it wasn't in the 30s. Okay? Another thing that I have trouble seeing here is I have trouble seeing, like, how many days was it 32 degrees? I have a hard time seeing that. It takes me a minute to find it. But if I come down here, I can say, oh, it was only 32 degrees one day because there's my, there's my 32 right there. It only occurred one time. I can also see things like missing degrees, like it was never 38 degrees. Look, there's no 8 right there. So it was never 38 degrees. I can see things like it was only in the 40s one day. And that's very hard for me to see when it's up here looking at this information. Okay, so that's how you do a stem and leaf. They are important for different types of data. That here's what you're concerned with in this data. You're concerned with these sets, and you want to know how many times or what did that pattern look like for the data in the 30s. And this is important for people that do things in business because they want to know certain patterns that are forming. Remember when I told you trends? I told you about trends. So one trend that you see is 30 degrees. It was 30 degrees a lot. A bigger trend is that in January in Philadelphia, it's in the 30s a lot. So that's like an average. So if you look, probably it averaged somewhere in the 30s during that time. So you can see these things when you're dealing with the stem and leaf plot. But that's how to do them. That's how to read them. You can go ahead and look through your book there a little bit more, do some of those practice problems, and learn more about it. Okay? All right, that's all I have for you. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.